Stephanie was burying her mother when the three brothers appeared at her graveside. She'd scraped together just enough for a simple service. No flowers, no reception. Just a plain casket being lowered into Oakland soil while rain hammered down like the universe itself was weeping. She stood alone under a broken umbrella, watching the only family she'd ever had disappear into the earth. You shouldn't be alone for this. The voice made her turn. Three men in black suits stood behind her, holding umbrellas that probably cost more than her monthly rent. She recognized one of them immediately, the executive from the restaurant. But how did he know? How did any of them know? I don't know you, Stephanie whispered, rain and tears mixing on her face. Yes, you do, the second one said gently. The one with the phoenix tattoo she'd traced in the darkness of a penthouse bed. You've known all of us. You just didn't know we were connected. The third one, the rebel with the dangerous eyes, stepped forward. Your mother's medical bills bankrupted you. You worked yourself to the bone trying to save her, and you still lost her. You have nothing left, Stephanie. No family. No money. No home. The landlord's evicting you next week. How do you know that? She asked, her voice breaking. We know everything about you, the executive said. And we're here to make you an offer. Come with us to Seoul. Let us give you a life where you never have to struggle again. Where you're protected.
Cherished.
Worshipped. What's the price? Stephanie asked, because nothing in her life had ever been free. The three men exchanged glances. Then the one with the tattoo smiled, dark and possessive.
You.
All of you. Forever. Hello, besties. Happy New Year. Welcome to Afro-Korean Stories. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also turn on the notification button so you won't miss out on more intense stories like this. The rain continued to fall as Stephanie stared at the three identical faces, her mind struggling to process what was happening. Her mother's casket had just been lowered into the ground, and these men, these strangers who somehow knew her most intimate secrets, were standing at her graveside like they had every right to be there. I've seen you before, Stephanie said slowly, her voice hoarse from crying. She pointed at the one in the center, the one with the coldest eyes. You come to Silver Lotus every day at 12:15. You order the same thing. Green tea and grilled salmon. You've never once looked at me like you knew my name. Minjun Park tilted his head slightly, rain sliding off his perfectly styled hair. I looked at you every single day, Stephanie. I just didn't let you see me looking. She turned to the second one, the one whose scent she could still remember from 3 nights ago. Sandalwood and something darker. And you, the Presidio Hotel. Room 2847. You paid me $3,000 and you... Her voice faltered. You knew my name then, too. You whispered it like you'd said it 1,000 times before. Hyunwoo Park stepped closer, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his body despite the cold rain. I did. Because I'd been watching you for months, Stephanie. Waiting for the right moment. My brothers and I don't do anything without a plan. Brothers, Stephanie repeated, the word tasting strange on her tongue. She looked at the third one, the one she'd never seen before today. And you? Where do you fit in my life? Which job were you watching me at? Taeho Park smiled, and it was the kind of smile that made her think of wolves. The docks. Every Tuesday and Thursday night when you haul crates for Patterson Imports. I'm the one who made sure Miller never went too far. Until last week, when he tried to corner you in the warehouse. I would have killed him if my brothers hadn't stopped me. The world tilted sideways. Stephanie's umbrella slipped from her numb fingers, clattering against her mother's headstone. You've been all three of you. You've been stalking me? Protecting you, Minjun corrected. There's a difference. Is there? Stephanie's voice rose, sharp with hysteria and grief and a fear she couldn't name. You've been following me. Watching me work. Watching me. She couldn't finish the sentence. Couldn't say out loud what Hyunwoo had watched her do in that penthouse room. We've been waiting, Taeho said. Waiting for the right time to approach you. We knew about your mother's illness.
We knew you were drowning in debt.
We knew that eventually you'd have nothing left to lose. And we were right. Stephanie wanted to run. Every instinct screamed at her to turn and sprint through the cemetery, to lose herself in the rain and the maze of headstones, and never look back. But her legs wouldn't move. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was the weight of the last 6 months, watching her mother waste away, working herself to the bone at 3 jobs, sleeping 4 hours a night, and still falling behind on bills. Or maybe it was the way Hyunwoo was looking at her, like she was something precious and breakable and worth crossing oceans for. "What do you want from me?" she asked finally. "Really? No games. No cryptic bullshit. What do you want?" The 3 brothers exchanged a look, some silent communication passing between them. Then Min-jun spoke, his voice cutting through the rain with perfect clarity. "We're the Park brothers. In Seoul, our family controls half the city's underground economy. Shipping, real estate, technology. Some of it legal, most of it not. We're triplets, Stephanie. Born 3 minutes apart in a hospital in Gangnam. We've never been separated. We've never wanted anything we didn't share. Until you," Hyunwoo added. "We saw you 6 months ago. You were serving tables at Silver Lotus, and you looked at a customer who was being rude to you with such controlled rage in your eyes. You didn't snap. You didn't break. You just smiled and walked away. And we knew." "Knew what?" Stephanie demanded. "That you were strong enough to survive us," Taeho finished. "We don't want a woman who'll break under pressure. We don't want someone who'll crumble when things get dark. We want someone who's already walked through fire and came out the other side still standing." Stephanie laughed, a bitter sound that had no humor in it. "You want someone desperate. Someone with no options. Someone you can control." "No," Min-jun said sharply. "We want someone who will stand beside us as an equal. Someone who understands that power comes with a price. Someone who's already paid more than most people could survive." "And you think that's me?" Stephanie shook her head. "I'm a waitress, an escort, a dock worker. I'm nobody." "You're wrong," Hyunwoo said. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a photograph. Even in the rain, Stephanie could see what it showed. Her at the docks, standing up to Miller when he'd tried to force himself on another girl. Her face was set in hard lines, fearless despite being half his size. "This was taken 2 months ago. You put yourself between Miller and a 17-year-old girl he was harassing. You knew he could hurt you. You did it anyway." He pulled out another photo. Stephanie at the restaurant, slipping extra food into a takeout container for an elderly homeless man who sat outside every day. Another photo of her at the hospital, holding her mother's hand and reading to her even though the doctors said she probably couldn't hear anymore. "You think you're nobody," Min-jun said. "We think you're exactly who we've been looking for our entire lives." The funeral director was approaching, probably to ask if she needed more time. Stephanie looked at her mother's casket one last time, rain drumming against the polished wood. Her mother had died without dignity, wasting away in a hospital bed while Stephanie worked herself to death trying to pay for treatments that didn't work. She died owing money, died with her daughter having to choose between a proper funeral and keeping a roof over her head. Stephanie had chosen the funeral, which meant in 3 days she'd be homeless. "If I say yes," she said slowly, not looking at the 3 brothers. "If I go with you to Seoul, what happens to me?" "You become ours," Taeho said simply. "We take care of you, protect you, give you everything you've never had. Stability, security, a family. And in return, you give us yourself," Hyunwoo said. "Completely. No more 3 jobs. No more pretending to be different people. You become Stephanie Park and you stand with us." "All 3 of you," Stephanie clarified. "You're asking me to what? Date you? Marry you?" "All of you. In Korea, we have more flexibility in how we structure our families," Min-jun said. "What we're offering isn't conventional. But nothing about us is conventional, Stephanie. We're offering you a life most people can't imagine. But it comes with darkness. It comes with danger. And it comes with the understanding that you belong to all 3 of us, not just one." The funeral director was getting closer. Stephanie had maybe 30 seconds to make a decision that would change her entire life. Stay in Oakland with nothing, no money, no home, no family, no future. Or leave with 3 dangerous strangers who'd been stalking her for months and wanted to share her like she was some kind of prize. It wasn't really a choice at all. I need to pack my things, Stephanie said. And I want to say goodbye to my mother. Alone. The brothers stepped back immediately, giving her space. As they walked toward a black SUV parked on the cemetery road, Stephanie knelt in the mud beside her mother's grave, not caring that her cheap dress was getting ruined. I don't know what I'm doing, Mama, she whispered. I don't know if this is survival or surrender. But I can't stay here. I can't keep living like this. So I'm going to take a chance on something crazy. And if you're up there somewhere, if you can hear me, I hope you understand. The rain was starting to let up when Stephanie stood and walked toward the SUV. Hyunwoo opened the door for her, and she climbed inside without looking back. The interior was all black leather and tinted windows, expensive and suffocating. Minjun sat across from her, Taeho beside her, and Hyunwoo slid in on her other side. The door closed with a heavy, final sound. Where are we going? Stephanie asked. First, to your apartment to collect your things, Minjun said, tapping something on his phone. Then to the airport. We have a private jet waiting. We'll be in Seoul by tomorrow morning. That fast. Stephanie's heart was racing. I have jobs. I have to give notice. You have nothing. Taeho interrupted, not unkindly. Your landlord already rented your apartment to someone else. Patterson Imports fired you yesterday for missing too many shifts. And Silver Lotus. Well, let's just say your manager won't be surprised when you don't show up tomorrow. You got me fired? Stephanie demanded. We removed obstacles, Minjun corrected. You were killing yourself working 3 jobs, and it still wasn't enough. Now you don't have to worry about any of it. Stephanie wanted to be angry. She should be furious that these men had systematically dismantled her life without her permission. But underneath the fear and confusion, there was something else. Relief. Bone deep, exhausted relief that she didn't have to fight anymore. Tell me about Seoul, she said instead of arguing. Tell me what I'm walking into. Hyunwoo shifted beside her, his arms sliding along the back of the seat behind her shoulders. Not touching, but close enough that she could feel him. Seoul is alive in a way San Francisco isn't. Neon lights and ancient temples. 20 million people crammed into a space that feels both endless and claustrophobic. The rich live in towers that touch the sky. The powerful live in shadows. And you? Stephanie asked. Where do you live? Both. Taeho said with a slight smile. We have a penthouse in Gangnam. 42nd floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Han River. That's where you'll stay. With all 3 of you. Yes, Minjun confirmed. We've never lived separately. We won't start now. The SUV pulled up to Stephanie's apartment building, a rundown complex in East Oakland where the elevators rarely worked and gunshots were common enough that nobody called the police anymore. She saw the brothers taking it in, their expressions carefully neutral. I'll be fast, Stephanie said, reaching for the door handle. We'll come with you, Hyunwoo said. I don't need. We're not letting you out of our sight, Taeho interrupted. Not in this neighborhood. Not anywhere. Yours now, Stephanie. Which means your safety is our responsibility. They followed her up 3 flights of stairs, moving with a predatory awareness that made other residents step aside without being asked. Stephanie unlocked her apartment door and stepped into the tiny studio that had been her home for 2 years. It looked even more pathetic with the 3 brothers filling the space. Her mattress on the floor. Her clothes in cardboard boxes because she couldn't afford a dresser. The hot plate she used instead of a stove because the apartment didn't have a kitchen. This is where you've been living? Minjun's voice was carefully controlled, but Stephanie heard the anger underneath. It's cheap, she said defensively. And it's mine. It's a cage, Taeho said bluntly. And you're never coming back here. Stephanie grabbed a duffel bag and started throwing clothes into it. She didn't have much. A few pairs of jeans. Some t-shirts. The uniform from Silver Lotus she'd never wear again. The black dress she wore for escort jobs. She hesitated over that one, then shoved it in the bag anyway. What about furniture? Hyunwoo asked. Personal items? This is it, Stephanie said. Everything I own fits in one bag. The brothers went quiet. Stephanie didn't look at them, didn't want to see pity in their eyes. She grabbed her toothbrush from the bathroom, a framed photo of her mother from the windowsill, and her laptop. Old and half broken, but it was hers. I'm ready, she said, slinging the bag over her shoulder. Minjun stepped forward and took the bag from her. Let's go home. Home. The word felt foreign. Stephanie had never really had a home, just places she survived in. But as they walked back down the stairs and climbed into the SUV, she wondered if maybe, possibly, these three dangerous men might actually give her what they promised. Or destroy her trying. Now look, I need to pause here for a moment and speak directly to you, my beautiful viewer. If you're sitting there feeling the tension, feeling Stephanie's fear and desperation and that tiny spark of hope, if your heart is racing wondering what happens next, then you need to do something for me right now. Hit that subscribe button. Because I promise you, this story is about to take you on a journey that will have you on the edge of your seat. And if you don't subscribe, if you just watch and leave, you're going to miss the next parts. You're going to wonder what happened to Stephanie. You're going to lie awake at night thinking about the Park brothers and whether they're heroes or villains. And it'll be your own fault for not subscribing. So do yourself a favor, subscribe now, turn on notifications, and don't make yourself suffer through that regret. The choice is yours. The private jet was parked in a hangar at San Francisco International, sleek and black, with a Park family crest painted on the tail. A dragon and a phoenix intertwined, gold on black. Stephanie climbed the stairs on shaking legs, the brothers surrounding her like a protective wall. Inside, the jet was more luxurious than any place Stephanie had ever been. Cream leather seats, a full bar, a bedroom in the back. She stood in the main cabin, feeling desperately out of place in her funeral dress and muddy shoes. Sit. Minjun gestured to one of the oversized chairs. We have a 14-hour flight. You should rest. Stephanie sat, and immediately Hyunwoo was crouching in front of her, unlacing her wet shoes with gentle fingers. The intimacy of it made her freeze. What are you doing? She asked. Taking care of you, he said simply. He slipped off her shoes and her soaked socks, then grabbed a soft blanket from an overhead compartment and wrapped it around her shoulders. You're shaking.
She was.
Stephanie hadn't noticed, but now that he mentioned it, she couldn't stop trembling. Shock, probably.
Grief.
Terror. All of it crashing over her at once now that the adrenaline was fading. Taeho appeared with a glass of amber liquid. Drink this. It'll help. What is it? Stephanie asked. Whiskey. Expensive whiskey.
Trust me.
She took the glass and drank, the liquid burning down her throat and pooling warm in her stomach. Taeho was right. It did help. The shaking eased, and some of the numbness started to fade. The jet engines roared to life. Stephanie watched through the window as San Francisco disappeared below them, swallowed by clouds. Everything she'd ever known was down there. And she was flying away from it with three men she barely knew, heading toward a country she'd never visited, with no plan and no way back. Tell me the truth, Stephanie said once they'd reached cruising altitude. All of it. No more secrets. If I'm doing this, if I'm really going with you, I need to know what I'm walking into. The brothers exchanged looks again, that silent communication that made Stephanie wonder if they could actually read each other's minds. Our father built an empire, Minjun began. Shipping initially. Legal trade between Korea and the United States. But over time the legal became illegal. Smuggling. Money laundering. Protection rackets. By the time we were born, the Park family controlled half of Seoul's underworld. Our mother hated it, Hyunwoo added. She tried to get our father to go legitimate. He refused. When we were 10, she died. Car accident, officially. But we've always suspected it was our father's enemies sending a message. After that, our father became obsessed with making sure we could protect ourselves, Taeho continued. He trained us, made us learn every aspect of the business. By the time we were 18, we were running operations. By 25, We'd taken over completely. Where's your father now? Stephanie asked. Dead, Minjun said flatly. 3 years ago. Heart attack. We inherited everything. And what exactly is everything? Stephanie pressed. Shipping companies, real estate, technology firms, nightclubs, casinos. Some of it is legitimate, some of it very much not, Minjun said. We're worth approximately $4 billion combined. We employ over 10,000 people. And we have enemies who would kill us without hesitation if they saw weakness. Which is where you come in, Taeho said. Seoul is watching us. Our rivals. Other families. They're waiting to see if we're strong enough to hold what our father built. And part of that strength is showing that we're united, that we have stability. You want me to be a symbol, Stephanie realized. Proof that you're settled. Seriously. Not just 3 playboy heirs wasting their inheritance. Partially, Hyunwoo admitted. But it's more than that. We genuinely want you, Stephanie. We've wanted you since the moment we saw you. The political benefit is just a convenient bonus. Tell me about your enemies, Stephanie said. If I'm walking into danger, I need to know who wants me dead. There's a man named Hwang Young-soo, Minjun said, his voice hardening. He's old guard. Been in the game since before we were born. He thinks we're too young, too Western, too soft. He's been testing us for months, pushing boundaries, seeing if we'll push back. And have you? Stephanie asked. Yes, Taeho said with a cold smile. 2 of his warehouses mysteriously burned down last month. His main lieutenant disappeared. We've been sending messages. But it's not enough, Hyunwoo said. Hwang is traditional. He believes in family, legacy. The fact that we're not married, that we don't have heirs, makes him think we're not committed to the future. Having you changes that calculation. So I'm a chess piece, Stephanie said bitterly. No, Minjun said sharply. You're the queen, the most powerful piece on the board, and we protect our queen above all else. The flight attendant appeared with food, Korean dishes Stephanie didn't recognize. Bibimbap, bulgogi, kimchi, that made her eyes water. The brothers watched her eat, their attention so focused it felt like being under a microscope. Stop staring at me, Stephanie said finally. It's creepy. Get used to it, Taeho said with a grin. We've been watching you for 6 months. Now that we have you, we're not going to waste a second. After the meal, exhaustion crashed over Stephanie like a wave. She'd been running on adrenaline and caffeine for days, and now that she was sitting still, her body was demanding rest. There's a bedroom in the back, Hyunwoo said, noticing her fighting to keep her eyes open. Go sleep. We'll wake you when we're close to Seoul. Stephanie stood on shaky legs and made her way to the back of the plane. The bedroom was small but luxurious, with a full-size bed and blackout curtains. She collapsed onto the mattress without bothering to change clothes, and sleep took her immediately. She woke to the sensation of someone watching her. Her eyes flew open to find Hyunwoo sitting in a chair beside the bed, his expression unreadable in the dim light. How long have you been there? Stephanie asked, her voice rough with sleep. An hour, he admitted. You were having nightmares. Crying in your sleep. I wanted to make sure you were okay. Stephanie sat up, brushing tears from her cheeks she hadn't realized were there. What time is it? We'll be landing in 2 hours, Hyunwoo said. He stood and sat on the edge of the bed, close enough to touch, but not touching. Stephanie, I need you to understand something. What we're asking of you, it's not normal. It's not conventional. And there will be people who judge you for it. People who call you names. Who say you're a whore or a gold digger or worse. I've been called worse by better people, Stephanie said tiredly. I know, Hyunwoo said. But it still matters. When we land in Seoul, everything changes. You'll be photographed, scrutinized, picked apart by the media and by society. And we can protect you from a lot of things, but we can't protect you from gossip. Why are you telling me this now? Stephanie asked. When we're already in the air and I can't exactly turn back? Because you still have a choice, Hyunwoo said seriously. When we land, if you want to walk away, We'll put you on a plane back to San Francisco. We'll set you up with an apartment, a job, enough money to start over. No strings attached. Really? Stephanie didn't believe him. Really, Hyunwoo confirmed. We want you, Stephanie. Desperately. But not if you're going to be miserable. Not if you're going to hate us. We want you to choose this. Choose us. Stephanie looked at him for a long moment, studying his face in the shadows. And if I do choose you, if I stay, what does that actually look like? Day to day, I mean. Do I just live with you? Sleep with all of you? How does this work? You live with us, Hyunwoo said. In our home. You have your own space if you want it, your own room. But yes, you would be with all three of us. Romantically. Physically. We don't believe in half measures, Stephanie. If you're ours completely. That's insane, Stephanie whispered. Yes, Hyunwoo agreed. But so is everything else about our lives. We're asking you to be insane with us. Before Stephanie could respond, there was a knock on the door. Minjun's voice came through. We're starting our descent. You should come see Seoul from the air. It's beautiful. Stephanie followed Hyunwoo back to the main cabin. Through the windows, she could see lights stretching to the horizon. Seoul at night was a sea of neon and electricity, massive and sprawling and utterly foreign. It's huge, Stephanie breathed. 25 million people in the greater metro area, Minjun said, standing beside her. The fourth largest metropolitan economy in the world. And somewhere down there in a penthouse in Gangnam is your new home. If you want it. The plane touched down at Incheon International Airport, and Stephanie's heart was racing so fast she thought it might burst. This was real. This was actually happening. She was in Korea, on the other side of the world, with three men who claimed to want to build a life with her. They were ushered through a private terminal, skipping customs and immigration entirely. Apparently, when you owned half of Seoul, rules didn't apply. A black SUV was waiting, identical to the one in San Francisco. The drive into the city took an hour, and Stephanie spent it with her face pressed to the window, watching Korea flash by. Everything was in Korean, the signs, the billboards, the storefronts. She couldn't read any of it. Couldn't understand the radio playing in the front seat. She'd never felt so foreign in her life. We'll teach you, Taeho said, noticing her distress. Korean isn't easy, but you're smart. You'll pick it up. They crossed a massive bridge over the Han River, and then they were in Gangnam, where the buildings were taller and sleeker and more expensive than anywhere Stephanie had ever been. The SUV pulled into an underground garage beneath a glass tower that seemed to scrape the sky. Home, Minjun announced. They rode an elevator to the 42nd floor, and when the doors opened, Stephanie stepped into a space that made her apartment in Oakland look like a cardboard box. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the river. White marble floors. Modern furniture that probably cost more than she'd earned in her entire life. Your room is this way, Hyunwoo said, leading her down a hallway. He opened a door to reveal a bedroom larger than her entire studio apartment had been. King-size bed. Walk-in closet. Bathroom with a soaking tub and a shower that looked like something from a spa. This is mine, Stephanie asked, her voice small. If you want your own space, yes, Hyunwoo confirmed. But you're welcome in any of our rooms too. We don't have boundaries like that. Stephanie walked to the window, looking out over Seoul. Somewhere down there, millions of people were living their normal lives. Going to work, raising families, being ordinary. And she was up here, in a tower with three men who wanted to share her, about to become part of something she didn't understand. I need a shower, Stephanie said abruptly. And sleep. Real sleep. And then tomorrow I need you to explain everything. All the rules. All the expectations. Everything. Deal, Minjun said from the doorway. Welcome home, Stephanie. After they left, Stephanie locked the bathroom door and turned on the shower. She stood under the scalding water until her skin turned red, washing away the funeral, the plane ride, the fear. When she finally emerged, she wrapped herself in a towel that was softer than anything she'd ever owned and crawled into the massive bed. For the first time in months, possibly years, Stephanie felt safe. It was an illusion, probably. a temporary reprieve before whatever came next. But for tonight, in this moment, she let herself believe that maybe the Park brothers actually meant what they said. Maybe she really could have a home here. She was asleep before her head fully hit the pillow, and this time, there were no nightmares. Just darkness and silence, and the distant lights of Seoul burning outside her window, like a promise of something she couldn't quite name yet, but might learn to call hope. Stephanie woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the smell of coffee. For a disoriented moment, she thought she was late for her shift at Silver Lotus. Then she remembered. Oakland was gone. Her mother was gone. Everything was gone except this strange new reality in a glass tower on the other side of the world. She found the brothers in the kitchen, moving around each other with practiced ease. Minjun was reading something on a tablet, his reading glasses making him look professorial. Taeho was cooking, which surprised her. She hadn't expected any of them to know how. Hyunwoo was pouring coffee into 4 mugs, his phoenix tattoo visible beneath his white t-shirt. "Good morning," Hyunwoo said, handing her a mug. "How did you sleep?" "Like the dead," Stephanie admitted, accepting the coffee. It was perfect, cream and sugar without her having to ask. Which meant they'd been paying attention, even to small details like how she took her coffee. "Sit," Taeho commanded, sliding a plate in front of her. Scrambled eggs, rice, kimchi, and something that looked like grilled fish. "You need to eat. You're too thin."